Hello and welcome to Flagstaff TV. Today we are joined by John Argent, Vice President, Geoscience at Sound Energy. John, thank you very much for joining us today.
No, it's a pleasure to be here, Catherine. Thank you.
You announced a cooperation agreement on Monday with Getech covering hydrogen and helium. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, well, obviously, we're absolutely delighted to be working with GTEC on this project. The agreement marks a really exciting step towards diversifying our portfolio and introducing a new business stream alongside our ongoing natural gas operations. So we're starting as well in a region that's obviously very familiar to us, Morocco. But look, let me tell you a bit about our new partner, GTEC. They are an AIM-listed company, and they began as a research division of Leeds University in the mid-1980s. And that means that they bring with them, deep-rooted technical expertise to this partnership. And uniquely, they hold the world's largest commercial library of gravity and magnetic data. But I'll get to more of that a little bit later in our discussion. So really, by combining their geoscience expertise with advanced AI-driven analytics, GTEC, they've developed some, really industry-leading workflows for identifying both hydrogen and helium opportunities. So I hope you can see we're really excited to be working with such a talented team and bringing AI technology into, resource exploration.
And can you tell us a little bit more about natural hydrogen? What is it exactly?
Okay, so hydrogen, I guess it's it is the most abundant element on Earth. Enormous quantities are locked up in water, but also hydrocarbons. And when hydrogen is burned, it produces only heat and water. So that makes it a completely pollutant-free fuel. But over 90% of the 100 million tons or so of hydrogen which are consumed annually by industry, that's still derived from fossil fuels through processes like, steam reformation of coal or natural gas. So this process, it's known as grey hydrogen, it releases a significant amount of CO2. So, that less than 10% of hydrogen is produced through electrolysis, and that's powered by wind and solar energy, and that's known as green hydrogen. So the cost to produce a kilogram of grey hydrogen is about $2. And, while a kilogram of green hydrogen can cost as much as 12. So while green hydrogen is much more climate friendly, it's expensive and arguably, it's an inefficient use of that renewable energy. Now, interestingly, as a geoscientist, we know that hydrogen also exists naturally in the Earth's subsurface. And that's what's known as natural hydrogen, and it's also referred to as white or gold hydrogen. But the deliberate exploration for natural hydrogen, it's still, Catherine, at its very early stages. There's much that we and also the wider scientific community don't fully understand about its formation, particularly the potential scale of the accumulations that may exist. However, there's certainly growing evidence that natural hydrogen is much more common in the subsurface than previously thought. So, you could take a look at what some of the exploration companies are doing in Australia, for example, and the headway that they're making there. So this suggests to us that natural hydrogen deserves as much attention and certainly investment as any other transitional energy technologies. So, for me, natural hydrogen has a potential to become a new, truly clean energy with production costs potentially, as low as $1 per kilogram, so even lower than grey hydrogen. And that's enormously attractive to industries that currently rely on grey hydrogen. And it could provide a key solution for heavy industry, commercial transportation and power generation as they transition away from fossil fuels.
John, going back to the cooperation agreement, how long do you think that this will take, and what are the next steps involved there?
Yeah, so perhaps to understand our approach, it might be helpful to start with how hydrogen can form naturally in the subsurface. How it's produced. So GTEC's workflows, they build on what we might call a genetic understanding of natural hydrogen, the natural hydrogen system, as it were. So similar to how the petroleum industry ourselves has approached oil and gas exploration for decades. So they share similar workflows and techniques. So together we'll be focusing on two primary mechanisms for natural gas formation. One is a process called serpentinization, and simply that's just the oxidation of iron-rich rocks. And the second process is radiolysis, which is the splitting of water molecules by natural radioactive decay of uranium and thorium in various rocks. So these processes require the right rocks and also the presence of water. So as a starting point, the starting point for us really is the subsurface mapping of these hydrocarbon source rocks, or the right rocks as I call them there. And the initial data sets for that process are gravity and magnetic data, an area where GTEC is a global leader in the collection and their interpretation. So once the hydrogen is generated in the subsurface, it needs to migrate and accumulate in a trap beneath a sealing rock, like salt. So much like conventional oil and gas reservoirs. So our first step is to create detailed maps using our combined geoscience expertise and GTEC's AI-powered workflows. These maps will help identify prospective areas for permit applications with ONIM. And ONIM is Morocco's National Office of Hydrocarbons and Mining. Following this, we'll focus our efforts perhaps on targeted ground surveys and potentially lead into drilling. So you talk about sort of timeframes. We aim to complete this initial mapping stage in the first half of next year, and that will enable us to apply, for some permits and plan some of our next steps. So really between us, we're confident that Morocco, has the favourable geological conditions to potentially generate and trap hydrogen in the subsurface. And coupled with Morocco's expanding industrial market, but also Morocco's, strategic proximity to Europe, we believe this is the right combination for commercial success.
And how do these arrangements work with ONIM?
Okay, well, I'm pleased to report that we've already held some initial discussions with ONIM. ONIM manages hydrogen and helium exploration through its mining division, recognising the similarities with oil and gas. In fact, ONIM has been actively exploring natural hydrogen since 2017. They've been conducting some field sampling and some geophysical surveys with various partners. And also, ONIM is also part of the High Africa project. That's an academic-led consortium dedicated to studying the potential of natural hydrogen right the way across the African continent. And GTEC is also a direct participant in that High Africa project as well. So between the three of us, we're already well connected and engaged. So we can certainly look forward to deepening, our collaboration with ONIM. They clearly recognise the potential of natural hydrogen to play a pivotal role in Morocco's energy, transition, their energy strategy. And I think, with our established presence, our operational expertise, combined with GTEC's advanced geoscience, their AI know-how, we believe we're really well positioned to lead that effort to unlock Morocco's hydrogen and also helium potential.
John, that sounds like an exciting opportunity to diversify your portfolio. Should we expect more?
Well, look, with the completion of the Managem deal, we've got 2 carried exploration wells, and plus we have Sidi Mukhtar to explore, and that gives us, a strong pipeline of near-term gas opportunities. We've also seen trace levels of helium in some of our wells across our licenses, particularly in Sidi Mukhtar. So that's an area we'd like to unpack and explore with GTEC as well. But I'd also like to highlight that many analysts and commentators are predicting that the hydrogen sector, is really poised to grow into a $1 trillion market in the coming decades. Hydrogen is absolutely expected to play a key and increasingly significant role in the energy mix. So if you're into transitional energy, that's pretty hard to ignore.
John, thank you very much for your time today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you for watching Flagstaff TV.